Today I'm ranking every Travis Scott album from worst to best. You've seen me do this with Kanye, and I haven't done it with anybody else, but I'm doing it with Travis Scott today. We're gonna see how Utopia stacks up against his other albums. And if you're even 1% a Travis Scott fan, my top 3 placements are probably gonna make you mad. Coming in at honorable mention, we're gonna put Al Farrow, because I have not listened to this album enough to comfortably rate it. I've listened to it a couple times. I liked what I heard, some of it. It probably would be bottom 3 though, but I'm not gonna rank something that I haven't really dived into. Coming in at number 7, we have Jack Boys. I never really loved this album even when it came out. There's 3 good songs on it. There's Gotti, there's Out West, and Had Enough. I don't even know if that counts because it's on Don Toliver's album, but the rest of the stuff I thought was pretty bad. I don't really care about it. I don't even know if this really counts as a Travis Scott album, but I'm putting it here. So let's go to the next album. Coming in at number 6, we have Honcho Jack, Jack Honcho. When this album came out, I was actually a really big fan of it. I think this album is pretty good, like production wise. It's weird in a good way. I do think Travis Scott is doing a little bit of carrying with Quavo, but it's not too visible. I think they have good chemistry, and I think this album is done very well. And when it came out, man, I listened to it until my ears bled. I loved this album when it came out. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan. My favorite songs are How You Feel, Dubai, Saint, Motorcycle Patches, Eye to Eye, Black and Chinese, and Modern Slavery. Coming in at number 5, we have Days Before Rodeo. This album has so much personality, I wanted to put it higher, but there is some aspects of it that drag it down. It's not the most consistent album. Some of the songs, like Zombies, for example, they don't hit the same as some of the higher tier songs on this album, like Drugs You Should Try It and Don't Play and stuff like that. So there is some really high highs on this album and some really good stuff, but there is some bad stuff that drags it down and keeps it from being any higher. My favorite songs are The Prayer, Backyard, Sloppy Toppy, Mamacita, Quintana Part 2, Drugs You Should Try It, Don't Play, and Skyfall. And coming in at number 4, we have Birds in the Trap. I feel like this album is definitely the most overrated Travis Scott album. I did not say bad. It's not bad. It's consistent, but it's not his best work at all. The main gripe I have with this album is people put it up there with Rodeo and AstroWorld, like it's on that same level, and it's not on that same level. It's good, but it's a level below those. I'm not saying it's bad, but it is overrated, and of all his like big albums, this is the one I return to the least. My favorite songs on this album are Way Back, Through the Late Night, Pick Up the Phone, and Goosebumps. Coming in at number 3, we have Utopia. Now, when I was going into this album, I was not expecting much. I was expecting great disappointment. After the drop of K-pop, I felt that the album was going to be super duper safe and boring and nothing to holler about. Boy, was I wrong. This album is experimental. It's weird. It feels like alien music. I had a great time listening to this album. This was the best first listening experience I've had since Call Me If You Get Lost, which is one of my favorite albums ever. So I'll have to say, this album shocked me with how good it was. Now, people talk about Birds in the Trap like it's on the same level of Rodeo and AstroWorld. I don't think that's true. I don't think that Birds in the Trap is on that level. But Utopia, now it is new. I mean, I'm making this video right now, like 4 days after the album dropped. It's new to me. But I feel like this has the potential to move upward. And I do think, based off of the probably 10 to 15 times I've listened to the album, it's definitely on the level of AstroWorld and Rodeo. I'm putting it at 3 right now because I don't want to talk crazy. I don't want to, look like an idiot in 2 years if it ages badly, but I'm a big Utopia fan. I was pleased with it. I'm a fan. My favorite songs are Hyena, My Eyes, Modern Jam, Sirens, Meltdown, Fiend, I Know, Love, Telekinesis, and Till Further Notice. I liked a lot of this album. Number 2, we got Rodeo. This album is neck and neck with the album above it. I go back and forth with which one I think is better. But I do think this is my number 2 because there's some lower moments of things that I enjoy not too much on this album. Songs like Okay Alright, Flying High, I Can Tell. These are songs that I like, but I don't really go back to them that much. But the highs on this album are probably Travis Scott's highest highs. Another thing on this album that I don't really know if it's a good thing or a bad thing is these songs are split into two halves, and the second half of the songs on this album are always so much better than the first half that I can't even tell if the first half was also really good because of how good the second half. Like On My This Side, Cornography. I don't know if I can say the real song name on YouTube, so I'm not gonna risk it. 90210. Well, those are the three I think of. The second half is just like so much better than the first half. And I can't even really hate though, because the first half is not bad. I just think that it's like this part is so good that the first part doesn't even compare. So I don't really know if that's a peeve about the album or a compliment, but it's what I think. I'm a big fan of Rodeo, and I'm actually pretty mad. He recently changed the cover art for Rodeo on Spotify. I'm kind of mad about that because the original cover art was like my favorite cover art for any album ever. So change it back, Travis, now. Coming in at number 1, we have AstroWorld. This is definitely my number 1. I love AstroWorld. I've always loved AstroWorld. I think this was my first album that I ever listened to that like I was like obsessed with. I got a lot of nostalgia around this album, but nostalgia aside, I just think this album is just for people my age, like age 18 to 24. This is definitely one of the most culturally relevant albums to us. Because I swear every time I go to a party, I hear at least one song off this album. And what I'll say about this album is this is probably the most perfectly made aux album. I mean, you can just hit shuffle on this thing and you are not gonna scare anybody away. All these songs work for everybody. This is the perfect aux album. That's not to take away from it. We need an aux album. We need music that's not gonna get old, that we can play at parties, you know, not have to think about. You know, it's like a cheat code. You get on the aux cord, you don't know how to play, go to AstroWorld, hit shuffle. Everybody's gonna like it. I personally love this album. The lows on it are like not low at all, really. I mean, this album is just really consistent and the highs are really, really, really high. I think this is his best work for now. Definitely subject to change. We're only 4 days into Utopia being out. I've listened to it a lot, but just for now, AstroWorld is my number 1. My favorite songs are Sicko Mode, No Bystanders, Skeletons, Wake Up, 5% Tint, Yosemite, Can't Say, and Houston Fornication. Well, that's my ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked it. Breaking news, this is an agc.andy update. Hey, Andrew, listen. Utopia might be higher, okay? I don't want to talk crazy. I'm just going to say that, okay? It might be higher. Deal with it and learn, because next album ranking for Travis Scott, it might be uncomfortably higher for a lot of you.